So when I was a kid, when I turned 16, the very day I turned 16, I was at the Hollywood DMV getting my driver's license because it meant I could now go places. Ultimately, it's not just transportation for me. For me, I think a lot of people probably agree, it's about freedom. But beyond that, cars, to me, or at least old cars that I like, have soul of sorts. And I don't really know how to articulate that, but they do for me. And certain cars just really move me. And the BMW M5 is one of those. I've been cycling all my life. I started cycling very young. Again, it was the same thing for me. It was freedom. I could get on my bike. I grew up, in the middle of LA, so I could get on my bike. I could ride to the beach. I could ride to Hollywood, wherever I wanted to go. As long as I had the legs, I could just do it. It's the only time that I completely unplug. Meaning I don't answer phones, I don't hear phones ringing, nothing. I'm just on my bike, in my own thoughts, watching the world go by. And it's just a really relaxing feeling for me. And then I started cycling to the Hollywood sign once I got more fit. I realized that the Hollywood sign is kind of a perfect ride for before work. I don't have much time to ride, so I have to go very early in the morning. I typically leave my house at 5:30. And I get on my bike and go up to the Hollywood sign. You climb a couple thousand feet in a whopping 16 miles, I think it is. And it's just it's my form of relaxation. I mean, it's a tough ride, but it's just so much fun. That was one of my happiest discoveries when I got the car, that I can just pop off the front wheel on a road bike and it slides right into the back seat, the entire bike, and then the wheel just in front of it. I don't even have to put anything in the trunk. And that was super nice. I did not want to put a roof rack on the car. The car is incredibly practical, which is super fun. It's the tactile feeling of driving an older car that somehow works for me. Newer cars to me just don't have a connection to the road the way an older car does. I'm sure there's some exceptions to that, but generally speaking, I just prefer the feel of an old car. It drives incredibly well. Once you get it out onto open road, 2-lane, twisty roads, that's when that car shines for me. And I'm not driving super fast. I just enjoy a car that sticks to the road and I can really just kind of flow through all the curves. This car just does that perfectly. It's been lowered, so it handles perfectly. I think the idea was they just wanted to create a crazy fast sedan. And I'm not sure, obviously, I don't know how this all came to be, but I think they wanted to show the world that they could do this. They took the motor from the M1, which was an accomplished car, and they stuffed it into a 5 Series sedan. Pretty much as basic as that. When it was sold, it was the fastest sedan sold anywhere in the world. The M5 was hand-built. I believe the 2 first generations, E28, E34, were both hand-built. Other changes are in suspension, lots of little kind of cosmetic things. Steering wheel, seats have a little M thing on them. The shadow line trim, so everything is blacked out on the car. That was stock from the factory. It's kind of interesting because the M5 in the United States was only sold for $1988. It was only sold in black with beige interior. The only option on the car was the heated front seats. That was it. Everything else was just, that's what you got. I'm terrible with years, but I've had the car, I believe, about 6 or 7 years now. And this all stemmed from a road trip that I took with my family. We hopped in our VW camper van and drove across the country. And one of our stops was in Little Rock, Arkansas, just to spend the night, say hi to my cousin. And I'd never been to his house before. We pulled up and I was very surprised to see the M5 in the driveway, as well as a Porsche and a couple other cars. And Skip bought this car, not in '88, it is an '88 M5. He bought it in '89. It had been sitting on the lot for a little bit. That car was tremendously successful at first, and then sales kind of tanked. And so the following year, BMW discounted the car quite a bit, which created a legal problem for them. But he bought it new. He drove it, and in about, I think it's 1993, he decided he wanted to start working on the car and making it faster, handle better, all these things. And so through his research, he discovered Frank Fahey Motorsports in San Diego. And so he shipped it to Frank Fahey. He was the M guru at the time. And Frank Fahey rebuilt the motor, did a lot of custom work. There's custom headers in the car. He went into the electronics. He welded in a strut tower brace, all these things. Track pipe that he made himself. Then my cousin flew out from Little Rock, picked it up in San Diego, and drove it across the country back home. And then several years later, he did the same thing, more things he wanted to do to the car, shipped it back out to San Diego, and then same thing, flew out, picked it up, drove it home. So the car's traveled a lot. Kind of explains the fact that it's got 212,000 miles on it now. I kind of just spied the car, ended up talking to him a little bit about it. And then when I got back to Los Angeles, it had stuck in my head. So I called up my cousin. And I just let him know that if he ever had any idea of getting rid of that car, please call me. And that was it. I can see that history every day when I get into it because I haven't changed much since I got the car. So for example, I see the wear marks in the armrest where my cousin used to rest his arm, or the scrapes on the center console where he obviously was kind of rubbing up his arm against it when shifting the car. So I love the history. I love the fact that he bought it new. I love the fact that he cared for it and made it better than it was new. I'd be very curious to drive an M5, an E28 M5, because this one is so done up, there's so much stuff has been done to it, it's nowhere near stock, and I'd be super curious to feel what an original stock M5 feels like. I have no problems with modifying cars. A lot of times modifications are made to make the car a better handling, faster, whatever it is, and I don't really see a problem with that. Wheel choice is always a big deal. I do get a little bit of sideways glances about the wheels in the car. My cousin bought them and put them on the car because they're super light wheels and he wanted less, sprung weight. I grew up in Los Angeles. I've been here all my life. I only left it for university, so 4 years or so. I really thought I would not come back, but then when I did come back, I realized how much I love this city. It's a unique city in that it's basically a giant suburb that is a city at the same time, so you're not confronted with city life the minute you walk out of your place. It's very hard to put it into words why this city is special. But once you're here for an amount of time, you may think you don't like it, then you leave it, and then you suddenly realize you did like it. And a lot of people end up coming back. It's kind of an odd thing to say, but it just happens over and over again. This car will stay with me. Lots of people have asked to buy it. I don't intend on ever selling it. The car kind of fits me like a glove, and I just don't want to get rid of that. Up until I received it, I'd never been in a garage ever. My cousin did not have a garage, so it was in his driveway in Little Rock, and they have fairly severe weather there. So the paint's not perfect, but I'm kind of torn on that because the car looks shiny, it looks good, it's fine. The air dam's completely scraped and cracked, and there's a lot of things on it that are certainly not perfect. I enjoy a car that's not perfect. A car that's perfect ends up getting stuck in a garage somewhere and not driven. Or at least not by me, because I would just feel too apprehensive about it. My name is Alex Yust, and I drive a 1988 BMW E28 M5.